Anthony Harwick here with another edition of YSN Hot Corner. We're joined by a very special guest today, Bailey Landry. Bailey, thank you so much for taking your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And we're waving to your kid there, and we're happy to see a cameo. It's the first time we've had a cameo performance on the Hot Corner.
Yep, little Bobby, she's excited about being here too, so she can't wait to join in on our conversation today.
All right, so we cover so much high school sports at YSN. It's what we love. So I want to start this by asking you what your high school experience was like, and what are some of your fondest memories of playing softball in high school?
Yeah, so in high school, I had a great experience. I went to East Ascension High School in Gonzales, Louisiana, and we did really well. We had a really talented team. We had really solid players at every position for the most part. We went to state every year, except for my senior year, actually. So we were in district all the time. We always had all district players and whatnot. But I think some of my fondest memories were probably when we played our rival that is about 10 minutes down the street. We played them often. And, just some of those games are some of the most exciting games of my high school career for sure.
Do you still stay pretty connected to your high school and try to kind of keep an eye on what's going on in your program?
I do. I do definitely try to, make sure that they know if they ever need any resources or for me to come talk or whatever it might be, that I'm always somebody that they can call. And then also, I stay very much in touch with my high school coach. We actually spoke on the phone yesterday. So she's somebody that, I talk to pretty frequently.
Now, you grew up in a different recruiting process than the people that are doing it now. The recruiting rules were a little bit different. What was your recruiting process like growing up playing softball?
Yeah, so for me, I just made sure. So we were, so I committed my junior year and signed my senior year. So I know a lot of girls now kind of freak out because they think they're too late or whatever it is, but I didn't even commit until my junior year. And, I was able to do that at LSU. I know now it's different, but I think they just recently changed the rules. So I think that that's also a little bit different. I don't know, college softball rules are kind of all over the place right now. But so for me, it looked like me just putting myself in front of the coaches. I knew that I wanted to go to LSU. So I would go to their camps. I would email their coaches. I went to hitting lessons with their coach just to, get that one-on-one time with the hitting coach at that time. And so that's kind of what I did. I just made myself known, and I made sure that they knew where I was playing and everything like that.
Was it always a dream school to be LSU, and was that somewhere you always wanted to go?
Yes, I tell people I didn't decide I wanted to play college softball. I decided I wanted to play at LSU. So yes, LSU was pretty much the only thing that I wanted to do. In the middle of my recruiting time, we actually had a coaching change. Coach Gerard was there for a number of years, and then she retired, and then Coach Trina came on board. And so between then, I did go see a few other schools just because I really wasn't sure the status of what LSU would be like. But, I wanted to go to LSU.
What was that moment like when you signed that national letter of intent and it kind of became real that you were going to be an LSU Tiger?
It was amazing. I had a bunch of family and friends there. My school put on like a little party for me, so my teammates got to be there, and it was a really gratifying experience. It was something I always wanted, so that was cool. And then being on campus, obviously for the first time, was very cool as well.
What was it like stepping on campus and kind of the reality setting in that you were, going to the top level of softball, you're going to play in the SEC, and all of a sudden it was real?
Yeah, I think it was a heavyweight, but it was a great one to be able to carry. A lot of responsibility with that, and a lot. I'm going to say pressure, but it wasn't overwhelming. It was a good kind of pressure, because you're doing something great. So it was really cool.
What was the atmosphere like at LSU in the softball program, and what was kind of the personality of the softball program as you went through it?
I would say every year it was very different, and not like 360 or 180 different, but it was still different. Every team has their own kind of little things that they have and go through, and different personalities that kind of shine and stick out. But I would say most of it, we were very focused on having fun, but definitely a have fun, but know when to dial it in kind of thing. And so that was something that was big for us is, Coach Trina, she did a good job of letting us be young ladies, but also, hey, dial it in. Y'all can have the fun you need as long as you can still take care of business.
Beth Trina seems like her personality just exudes what you just said, because she's really fun to hear mic'd up, and I'm sure she knows when to have a good time and when to dial it in. Do you think that mirrored her personality?
Yes, definitely.
What was your first kind of interactions with Coach Tarina, and what was your first impressions of her?
Well, first time I saw her was during her press conference at LSU. It had been a few months since LSU had a coach, and I remember watching her first press conference. Shortly after that, I shot her an email just letting her know I was interested in the program. I wanted to go, and just kind of where everything stood at that point. And and then once I sent her my schedule, she came out and watched me. We weren't allowed to talk at that point in time. I introduced myself, and she let me know, we couldn't talk, but it was nice to meet me. And then from there, we, along with the rules at the time, we just spoke about different things, and, eventually went on a visit with her and with her coaching staff, and was able to, be offered and go through that process of signing and whatnot.
Do you have a favorite kind of Beth Trina memory as your career at LSU?
Yeah, so one that's actually kind of, I have a few, but one I would say when I knew I was dealing with a really strong woman was she had a C-section for one of her children. And I think like the day after she had the C-section, she was out of practice. And I was like, oh my gosh, usually you're on bed rest for a long time, when you have this type of surgery. And she was out there, and she wanted to show us like, hey, I might be down for a few days, but I'm going to be back out here. I'm committed to you guys. And so that was when I was like, dang, she's a warrior. Like, she's going to fight through anything if she's out here.
What did that do for your team? I mean, I got a sense that that's kind of really a rallying call for everyone on the team and all the players when your coach shows that kind of example.
Yeah, it's kind of like a no excuse example, really. It's like, okay, well, we can list our problems, but right now, she has all these things that she's doing, and she likes to see things. But she has all these things that she's going through, and she's still showing up, being here for the team. And so that kind of put that pressure on us that, hey, we don't have any excuse or anything even close to similar to that going on in our lives, and so we better show up every day too.
You got to play in the Women's College World Series. What was it like taking the first steps into Oklahoma City? And I'm sure that was a dream of yours for a long time. What was it like kind of realizing that dream and playing on that stage?
Yeah, so I got to go to that tournament as a child. They have tournaments surrounding the World Series. And so going there as a young girl, I never thought, I'd be able to play there. But then, getting there, and we got to go 3 times, that was indescribable. That was that's something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life.
Now, after LSU, you went and you got to play in the MPF, and you were drafted. What was that kind of moment like for you? Growing up, there probably weren't a lot of professional softball kind of avenues that you saw. So what was it like when you got drafted and you heard your name called and you knew that you were going to be a professional softball player?
So that was, I tell people, that was a dream I didn't know that I had, because I didn't know that was a possibility for me for a long time. And so, getting into college, seeing some of my former teammates be drafted, and seeing that they had a great experience with it, I knew it was something that I wanted to do as well and continue playing. And so draft day was pretty cool. Me and my teammates, being a big player, were both drafted in the first round. And so that was really special for not only me, but for Savannah and our program.
And it got you a couple opportunities to kind of get more exposure to more people that looked up to you. What was it like kind of being a role model to so many people and going through those autograph lines and seeing all the little girls that kind of were watching you play and knowing that you were an example?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts. I always tell people I love softball, but I love the platform that it gives me, I think, probably just as much. And so, I remember specific times where players in my life, took time out to talk with me. And I still remember those like it was yesterday, and I'm 24 years old. And so I always made it a point that if I could make somebody's day and make a simple impact on a young softball player, that's what I was going to do. So that was always really special for me.
Your faith has always been in the forefront of your message and everything. How has faith kind of impacted your softball journey?
Yeah, I would say the way that I view faith is that it's the lens that everything else kind of comes from in my life. And so naturally, anything that I do, I try to, show that, try to live through that. And so it affected my softball. It brought me closer to people who, want to live in a similar way. And I think it just helps me be a well-rounded person, to strive for things, to realize that my identity is not in softball, it's something a lot greater. And so it helped me stay grounded and stay where I needed to be, and not just kind of softball's my entire life. No, it's not who I am, it's what I do.
I love how your identity is on softball. I think so many players need that right now because softball has been taken away from so many people with COVID-19. How strong do you kind of put that message to the players that you coach or that you give lessons to, that softball is not your identity?
Yeah, so I like to I don't want to say raise, but I like to teach the girls that I work with and mentor and things that, where, we talk about confidence often, and, where does that come from? Does it come from, just results? Does it come from, you feeling good about the way that your hair looks that day? Whatever it is, like, where does your confidence come from? And we talk about, your whole person confidence. Like, yes, I can feel confident because, my hair looks good today, my braids are looking good on the softball field, but ultimately, like, me as a whole person, my confidence needs to come from a steady place. And anything in the world is not steady. And I think more than ever, they've seen that this year with COVID-19, that at a moment's notice, anything in the world can be taken away. And so to make sure that what you put your person on is something that is steady.
You don't just offer the face-to-face lessons, but you also offer the virtual lessons through your website. Just talk about what kind of that entails, in case anyone up here in Ohio is kind of interested in reaching out to you and getting those virtual lessons.
Yeah, so I do virtual physical lessons. So I'll do virtual slapping lessons, but then I also offer mentorship opportunities, which is kind of, what we just talked about. It's talk outside of the line. So we talk about improving our mental game, but also some confidence building and leadership skills and things like that. And so that is something that I have really come to enjoy. It's a way for me to kind of do the things that I love about softball, both of them. So I'm able to teach them, the skills of softball, but then also we get to talk in a little bit more depth and just talk about, them as a person and where they want to go, their goals, hopes, dreams, and things like that. So that's something that I also love to do.
If someone is interested, what are kind of the steps they would take to kind of book a virtual kind of lessons with you?
Yeah, so you can check out any of my social media, but my website has the link to sign up on it. So you can just go to BaileyLandry.com and you can click on Work with Bailey, and they'll have the information on how to sign up on there.
And I also noticed that you have your own kind of glove and bat line too with Marucci. What was that kind of like to kind of have your own line of softball equipment?
Yeah, that was awesome. Marucci is a Baton Rouge-based company, which is where LSU is, and I live just about 15 minutes from their headquarters. Well, my parents, so I grew up about 15 minutes from there, and so that was really cool. When after my rookie year of pro ball, they approached me wanting to partner with me, and obviously it was a big yes. And then as we got into our partnership, we wanted to do a line of softball equipment. And that was just a dream come true. Seeing little girls swinging a Bailey Landry bat, like, that's the coolest thing. So.
Obviously, you have a family growing, so you've been busy through this quarantine. What are some of your favorite things to do outside of softball, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic when softball kind of took a break?
Yeah, well, I love Mom into this one. It keeps me on my toes, as you can see. But my husband and I, we just enjoy being outdoors, going ride around. We have some property, and so we like to go ride the tractor and do some things like that, and just be outside. Really, is my favorite thing to do.
Before we let you go, just some advice that you have for the girls going through the recruitment process right now. It's a lot different because it's all virtual. Coaches can't come to their tournaments, especially class of 22s. They're probably really stressing right now. So what kind of advice would you give to the girls that are just trying to get exposure in this time?
Yeah, I would say stay patient. everybody's kind of figuring this out at the same time. So it's not the end of the world. It's not the world coming down on you. There's so many other people going through it too. So just make sure that you're honest with yourself. Definitely don't keep any of your concerns in. Talk about it. It's okay to ask for help. That was something I had to learn the hard way. So just talk about it, communicate with people, and it's gonna end up being a really great story as your life goes on. So definitely encourage you there. Just to keep pressing on, keep working hard, keep doing what you can, whatever's in your hands, whatever's safe for you and for your situation. So,
Bailey, thank you so much for your time. I know your time is very limited with all the stuff you got going on, and I definitely appreciate you giving me some. And I feel like I should say thank you to Bobby for giving me her time a little bit too, because
yeah.
I'm sure I'm eating into some of her attention time. So
that's okay.
Thank you both for giving me your time, and we definitely look forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Yes, thank you so much. God, we got to connect.